Before we even begin, I want to show just this little snippet of my favorite news reporter, Nancy Grace.
The judge allows in evidence that Trayvon Martin did have marijuana in his system at the time he died. What difference, if any, does that make?
Because I've seen too many felonies, and I don't mean pot sales or growing pot like this guy up in Connecticut.
To me, it means that he is less likely to pick a fight with someone.
I mean, people on pot shoot each other.
Isn't it true that when you smoke pot, you just want to lay on the sofa and eat?
People on pot kill families, wipe out a whole family.
The common connotation pot goes with lethargy, with the munchies, with wanting to eat, with being laid back, not with chasing somebody down, jumping out from behind bushes, beating them in the head till they're pulpy, and basically starting mortal combat. That's not what you typically equate with smoking a doobie.
I've got to be drinking booze, or I've got to be smoking, or I've got to be high on pot.
Anyway, so as you can see, some of our professional media reporters are even confused on their own stances on the legalization of marijuana, which is my topic for today. But before we even dive into the topic on the legalization of marijuana, we must first define what exactly is marijuana for those of you who currently live under a rock. Marijuana is harvested and consumed for its active ingredient of tetrahydrocannabinol, also known as THC. Marijuana comes from a plant known as cannabis, which can also be harvested for hemp, which is a fibrous material that can be used for paper, clothes, rope, and various other products. Now that I've talked about what exactly marijuana is, I'm going to bring it back to us, say that we're all college students here except for Dr. G. And when we get to college, we have a lot of freedom and a lot of choices to make. Some people decide to go drinking, some people decide to go studying, and some like to go and indulge themselves with a joint, a bowl, or whatever you may will of marijuana. The unfortunate thing about this is that marijuana is currently at a very illegal status. According to the 1970 Controlled Substances Act, marijuana is a Schedule I narcotic alongside with LSD, shrooms, heroin, cocaine, and various other hard drugs. So what Schedule I means is that basically if you consume it at all, it's completely illegal. It's illegal to possess it, grow it, whatever. Now, from my own personal experiences and various other people's personal experiences, we've started to see that marijuana is not really that harmful of a drug as compared to heroin and cocaine. And so we must make an amendment to this. We must legalize marijuana.
But I don't want my son smoking that devil's grass. He's gonna go shooting up the whole damn place.
No, smoking pot does not promote crime. In fact, a study done by the Denver County Police Department showed that crime went down 6.3% within the first year of recreational marijuana being legalized. Now, marijuana is also known as the gateway drug. The only reason it's the gateway drug is because of its illegal status. I had a friend who was once hanging out with his dealer, and eventually a couple of customers came over to buy some heroin. The dealer had a gun on him, and the dealer offered him some heroin, and the friend was afraid that the dealer would get angry if he said no and shoot him. And so he was peer pressured into shooting up heroin, which is a very unfortunate circumstance. If we were to legalize it, it would be away from all the cocaine and heroin and all the other hard drugs. So the problem here is that marijuana can be very beneficial to the United States of America and to potentially the rest of the world. But it's illegal. So what's our solution? We legalize it. Now you might be asking, how might it be beneficial to all of us? Well, there are three different ways it can benefit us. It can increase our tax revenue, it has medical uses, and it can become a new crop for the American Agricultural Department. Now, first I'm going to talk about how marijuana can increase tax revenue. A study done by the Washington Post showed that within the first 6 months of marijuana being legalized for recreational use in the state of Colorado, that $36.5 million worth of tax revenue was brought in. 6 months, $36.5 million. Now, that's a great sum of money. If you were to double that, it'd be a lot for even just a year. Now, unfortunately, all the tax money can't be used by the state of Colorado because of the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights. They have a certain limit of how much tax money they can bring in, and since they've reached that limit, they have to give a pot refund. So far, we have an estimated $7 and some loose change for every single resident in the state of Colorado, which is a great sum of money. Now, this is just in one state. Imagine if we were to take this to all 50 states and get millions, potentially even billions of dollars worth of tax revenue. We could eventually use that money to build schools, better infrastructure, and have better social health care. Speaking of healthcare, I'm now going to talk about how marijuana can be used for medical purposes. Arthur Levine, director of the American Alliance for Medical Cannabis, has consulted with many doctors from across the nation, and he has had his own personal experiences and says that cannabis is a very safe medicine. Arthur Levine has bipolar disorder, in which whenever he would get angry or frustrated or have emotional flip-outs, he would go back and just smoke a little bit, and it would start to relax his nerves and calm him down a lot. His friends and family around him have all said that he really had changed ever since he started using marijuana for medical purposes. Now, is smoking marijuana bad for you? Of course. Putting any kind of smoke in your lungs is very bad for you. But there are alternate methods to getting the tetrahydrocannabinol that is used for the active ingredient. There are oils, vaporization, lotion. You can even just eat the herb itself and get high off of that. I wouldn't recommend it, but you know. And finally, I'm going to talk about how marijuana can be a new product for the market of agriculture. Currently, marijuana is being produced in dispensaries under a bunch of glow lights, and it's just kind of in a back room. If we were to produce marijuana at a mass scale, we could fill warehouses, the empty warehouses in Detroit, with glow lights and lots of marijuana plants. And then eventually we'd also be able to use the byproduct of hemp to create more clothes and paper and use as an alternate source for some of our limited resources. There's even been some rumors of some research being done to see how marijuana can be used as a biodiesel. In fact, Martin Booth, who wrote Cannabis, A History, said that by 1630, half of the colonial population was clothed in hemp products made on this side of the Atlantic. So obviously the mass production of marijuana and hemp can be very beneficial to everybody, where we may not have to use cotton but use hemp instead. In conclusion, I've talked to you about how marijuana can be beneficial to us by increasing tax revenue, being used for medical purposes, and also being a new product and crop for America. So next time you see a petition asking for the legalization of marijuana, don't think of the pot-smoking hippie that goes around with a dog solving mysteries in a big van, but think of the people that might actually need it. You might actually be helping your world, your friend, and your country. So go ahead and take all this information, put it in your pipe, and smoke it. Thank you.